Good time, everyone. Today, I'll be talking about the love song of J.L. Prufrock. It's the first famous term of T.S. Eliot, although he wrote some brilliant pieces of poetry after that, like the Bass Plain and the Four Quartets. He wrote wonderful dramas after this as well, uh, whereas in the Cathedral and the Canadian literary works as well. So, but this is the first poem which gained him enough popularity in the literary circle at that time. There are a few things. There, the poem is about a love proposal by a young man to a young woman, and there is indecisiveness within this young man who is not capable of posing directly and is thinking and entertaining fears of his poor background that he doesn't belong to a good past. Rather, uh, the background from which he is coming is not such a background which can enable him to propose a lady of that stature. And now, although he is in good plight, good situation, he is well suited, well uh, booted, and well polished himself. But the thing is that what people think of him is this. Now, he is fearing this thing that the people may think, and there are references to his bald head and to his thin legs, and that this is what is coming, taking place within his mind from people's point of view. That is how we judge ourselves through the eyes of others. In this love proposal song, T.S. Eliot has discussed a number of things. The entire structure and shallowness of the social life of the modern world, that is what is being focused on. To be very specific, the story of love proposed by a man to a woman, the story is told in fragments. The poem begins with a direct offer, let us go then, you and I, but is interrupted by other thoughts. And then when there is a discussion about how the life is moving on unconsciously, then there is a return back to let us go through certain hot desertic streets. The love talks, all the lover talks all his presumed possibilities of sitting together within a hotel which is within his means because of his poor background. That's why it's sawdust and things like that. And then as they walk through the deserted, half deserted streets, the teleology comes to their mind, and that is what is the purpose of the work, and afraid of being rejected on the basis of the presuppositions that he had, the man says, oh, don't ask, what is it? Like, don't go into the purpose of, or the objective of this work that we are having, and after this, he repeats, after this, he repeats again, let us go and make or visit. No, don't just go into the detail of why we are walking, but because in the beginning there is just let's go then, you and I. There is no mention of whether it is, we'll be talking of it, it's a bit tricky that what is there. And then because it is the evening of October, so the mist or the mistiness and the fogginess seem to be incorporated to give the sense that most of the life is also full of mist and mystery and fogginess. And the speaker returns back to his own mistiness. He thinks that that he will be then there is mistiness, or there is mystery or uncertainty in life, and then he thinks that time for many things is there. And his indecisiveness is very much clear when he asks himself, "Do I dare? Do I dare?" So here he entertains all those doubts that uh, that that because of his poor background and because of the life he spent in pitiless things and trivial things, he will not be able to remain in the hall where people are making proposals to their or moving their beloved. So he just imagines that he will come downstairs the hall and he won't be able to go there. And there he thinks of this thing that people might be thinking about his uh, thin legs and his bald head and the faults that he presumes by himself. Although he has dressed himself in very good dressed, but because uh, people may think like that about him. And then he goes into a detail about his past life, that how is that, like, I've seen the moment of my greatness flicker and I've seen the eternal footman hold my coat and snicker, and in short I was afraid. And then he returns, and what if I get a chance, and after the cups, the marmalade, the tea, among the porcelain, among some talk of you and me, would it have been worthwhile to have written off the matter with a smile, which keys the universe into a ball, to roll it towards some overwhelming question to say, I am Lazarus, come from the dead, come dead to tell you all. So then he moves like that, entertaining his fears. The next, he jumps onto this thing where uh, he is seeing two mermaids. Mermaids are those jalparis who are dancing and they are talking to one another, and they are not aware of what is happening in the world of uh, humans. So he thinks them, and then he thinks that he'll not be mermaid singing each to each. I do not think they will sing to me, because he is placing himself into an inferior kind of person, and he thinks that he will not be in a position to. So he finally he ends without making a proposal to his beloved. This is what happens in the poem. So, is I had written on the very top, if you remember, I had written on the very top of the poem that what kind of poem it is. And the three words which I wrote there were, if I'm not wrong, and if you go back and read those few words, so that is the intelligence, shallowness, and instability of emotions in the people. I couldn't refer to everything that was there, but now I'll be reading some chunks of this poem, that is, "Si credesse chimia respota fossa persona chimia tornosa al mondo. Questa fiamma seria senza più scossa, ma per chiunque chiami di questo fondo non torno vivo alcun si udo il vero senza tima di infamia ti rispondo." And the English translation is given, "If I believed my answer was, to person who never returned to the world, this flame stood without any more shocks. But because never of this fun, I don't come back alive, I hear the truth without fear of infamy, I answer you. This is from Dante's Inferno. That is a long poem by Dante, the Italian poet. And there are two people in the in hell. One is addressing the other, and he says that I would not have answered you if I knew that you will be like this thing will be told somewhere, but because no one returns from this place back, so whatever mystery is here, it is here, and it cannot be taken away. He has placed it in the beginning, like many times. Why he has placed this epigraph in the beginning of the poem is that many times one's emotions are not tellable. Even if they are told, emotions are told, they are not comprehensible. People may take other meanings from that thing. Let's go then you and I. Let's go then you and I. In the very first line, there is this modernist epoch, that is individualism, and individualism in the sense that there can be no unity among human beings, because the previous lovers, the romantic lovers and the Elizabethan lovers and the medieval lovers, they would not say you and I, they would say let's go then we. There is a difference in you and I and we. When you say you and I, it means that we are very much different from one another, and there is a distance in one another, and there is no chance of us becoming one. In the sense of John Donne, or in the sense of Shakespeare, or in the sense of Emily Bronte's Catherine Senior, who is talking that I don't know of what stuff soul is made, but I know that mine and his is a single soul. We are one soul living in two bodies. That's, and in this a valediction from Reading Morning by John Donne, he is proposing the concept of the compass. So here, like T.S. Eliot, you would know this thing, that he had studied the metaphysical poets thoroughly and specifically done the conceits of Donne and the things. He understood them, appreciated them, and brought them into his poetry, but the otherwise contrary to that, because he mingled emotions with rationality, and there were only emotions devoid of any kind of reason. That is, let us go then you and I. You and I try to understand you. You are someone else and I am someone else. And there is a big distance between you and I. We live together. We love each other. We can't live without one another. We can't live without us. We can't live without us. There is a very much different meaning in we and in you and I. Mean that here at this moment, there is no chance of love. We may think of beginning love in future. So you and I, let us go there, you and I. And this, because in the beginning of 20th century, although this patriarchal discourse and these things were there in the 19th century as well, but towards the beginning of 20th century, these people started talking of the binaries, that binaries in the sense that man and woman, they are two binaries. And he has used this you and I in that very sense to create the two binaries, that man is a very much distinct gender and woman is a very much distinct gender. So in order to enforce this binarism, or to satirize this binaristic opinion about humanity, he has placed that this is the thing that you and I is incorporated. Let us go there, you and I. When the evening is spread out against the sky like a patient etherized on a table, it's very important to understand why is it so that evening is spread out against the sky like a patient etherized upon a table. First, evening, try to understand it why. Evening is referring generally to the end of the day, because at that time the day is almost ending and the night is coming. So understanding it from this perspective, because he was Christian and you would remember the second coming, he is also feeling this thing that the end of the world is coming near, and it's a historical movement from morning, the dawn of the history of the world, till the evening, that now we are in the evening of the history of the world, and it is spread out against the sky, against heaven, the earth. The history is spread against the heaven helplessly. How helplessly? Like a patient that lies upon a table. What happens that when a patient is placed, and anesthesia is given to him or her, so that and on the table, oh, that person is very much unconscious. That patient is unconscious, and it is completely up to the surgeon, completely up to the operator and the people who are taking part in the operation, what they do to the etherized patient. So similar is the case that our society has become so much unconscious about themselves. Each individual and collectively as a society, we are unconscious, and we are unconscious like a patient etherized on a table, and these are the forces. These are the forces, you may consider it the imperialist forces or the capitalist forces or certain other forces who are indoctrinating us and imposing their ideals and their thoughts upon us, and we are lying unconscious, unable to react to them. So as a whole, there is a trend set by a few individuals, and we are victims of that trend, like a patient at the right on the table. When the evening is spread out against the sky like a patient at the right on a table, so that is the plight of humanity that he feels about. Let us go through certain half-deserted streets, the muttering retreats. So what is the possibility? Keeping our social rank and our financial position in mind, what is the possibility? It has go through certain half-deserted streets, because it is evening. Some people have left offices and they are at their home, so the streets are half-deserted. The muttering retreats, and then we may go to cheap hotels. Cheap muttering retreats means places where the people who have returned from their jobs and they are muttering there in those places. So there are cheap restaurants and hotels of restless nights and one night, cheap hotels. And because these workers are coming and they are not holding permanent residence, that's why they are spending nights in one night cheap hotel. So they pay less, and this is the position of the working class or the lower class, according to that Marxist philosophy, a proletariat class that is suffering. And what kind of cheap hotel that is? And sawdust restaurants with oyster shells, sawdust. Again, he is referring to these boards. Different boards are hard boards and lasagna and these things. If you delve into it, they are sawdust. They are made of sawdust. So sawdust restaurants with roasted shells, that they are not of a good quality. Streets that follow like a tedious argument of insidious intent. Now here is the thing: streets that follow like a tedious argument. Tedious argument mean that is which leads to no destination, like there is no result is expected out of it. Tedious argument, no result is expected. Of insidious intent, and even the purpose is hidden. The intention is hidden intention to lead you to an overwhelming question. And when you are moving across these streets, which are leading to no destination, and even the intention in it is hidden, so what happens? Lead you to an overwhelming question. And this leads you to a question. Oh, do not ask. But you are not supposed to ask, what is it that, what is that question? You are not supposed to ask. And here he is bringing in the problem of existential crisis, that we are moving in the streets to the offices, returning back to hotels and entering restaurants, and we are moving towards our rooms, and all these things are happening, but we do not dare. Why? Teleology is coming here, and we are not able to ask. In the sense of this poem specifically, it will be that even though he desires to tell to the woman about his intention of love, but despite that, his fears and his indecisiveness, who is impotent within himself, he avoids that question to respond to it, that he is walking with her because he is interested in her. So he avoids. But in that other sense, that fragmentation sense, it is talking of that thing, that to lead you to an overwhelming question. Oh, don't ask, what is it? Don't ask about this question, I'm not going to answer it. And then he returns back. Let's go and make our visit. That is, life is just moving on, irrespective of this thought that why are we moving on? In the room, women come and go talking of Michelangelo. In the room, the women come and go talking of Michelangelo. Here he is referring to the shallowness of human beings in general. And that is that because in the restaurant or in the hotel, there is a room in which people are sitting and taking coffee and drinks, and they are talking to, and there are, because there are the paintings of like Mona Lisa and so many other paintings, the paintings of Michelangelo specifically, they are there, and people enter that place and they talk about Michelangelo, but the problem is that no one knows who Michelangelo was and what he meant by portraying those paintings, what are the purposes of those paintings that are there. So there is, this is just a fashion that people want to be looked educated and well informed about different things, specifically about art and about literature, in order to be considered literary and people of taste with respect to art. But although they are completely unaware of what Michelangelo wants to say in his painting, or what is the intention behind these things. So their knowledge, they have no knowledge about him. This is a kind of shallowness, and with me it is a kind of meanness, that people pretend to be knowing things, and they use different terms and words for the sake of looking scholarly, while in fact they are very much shallow. So this shallowness has been targeted in this line, although he has dealt with this thing in detail in his the whole of it. But he has referred to, and this couplet, in the room the women come and go talking of Michelangelo, this has been repeated at least 3 times in order to emphasize that how shallow people we are. And then the yellow fog that rubs its beak upon the window panes, the yellow smoke that rubs its nozzle on the window panes, licked its tongue into the corners of the evening, lingered upon the pools that stain in drains, let fall upon its beak soot that falls from chimneys, slipped by the terrace, made a sudden leap, and seeing that it was a soft October night, curled once about the house and fell asleep. This is, when there is mist or fog, you are living in Swat. That's why you won't be able to understand this concept. If you had been living here in the settled areas, in the settled part of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, you might have experienced that what this fog is. If you search the images of fog on Google, you will come to know, so at times it happens that that much mist and fog is there that if you stretch out your hand at a distance of 2 feet, you won't be able to see your fingers. And so he is incorporating this concept that is in the physical world, in environment and in climate, we see that there is extreme level of dense mist and fog in which it is really difficult or almost impossible to see what things are there. Like the words rubs its beak upon the window panes. It is because it seems as if because of its thickness, it seems as if it is a cat and it is rubbing its beak. The shape, the color, the structure of, because of the thickness of the fog and mist, it seems as if it is the furry and the curly skin of the cat rubbed against the window panes, and the yellow smoke that rubs its nozzle on the window panes, and then because this yellow smoke is also that thick that it seems to be the muzzle of a cat or any other cat-like animal who is rubbing its tongues into the corners of the evening, and it is licked its tongue into the corner, and again it is imagery as if it is licking with its tongue the evening time, lingered upon the pools that stems and drain. And similarly, the fog is hung over the pools that and drains, means there is less water in it. Let fall upon its beak the soot that falls from chimneys. Now here, let fall upon its beak the soot. Actually, he is referring to black clouds that may cause rain. Black clouds appear and that falls from chimneys. But he is referring to, again, leveling it against the soot from the chimneys, slipped by the terrace, made a sudden leap. That from chimneys, because heaters and electricity and gas, they were not by the time he was talking of these things, and at least if they were there, they were not as popular as we are very much aware of these things. So chimneys used to be there, and the soot would come down. And seeing that it was soft October night, curled once about the house and fell asleep. And it seems that the fog and the mist has decided. The fog and the mist has decided to stay around the house there. So here then he is referring that this uncertainty and this mistiness and mysteriousness in life is going to prevail for almost a long time. Then, and indeed there will be time. For the yellow smoke that slides along the street, rubbing its beak upon the window panes, there will be time to prepare a face to meet the faces that you meet. Then he hopes that there will be time for everything. There will be time when the smoke will be over, and this rubbing of this repetition is there, that there will be time to prepare a face to meet faces that you meet. You will have enough time to prepare yourself. He is not now talking to himself, to meet the faces that you meet. You will bring those changes within you for the people whom you. There will be time to murder and create. He is talking to himself that there will be time to murder and create. Murder and create is a wonderful sense here. In order for a man, in a man 70 years or 90 years ago, a man 90 years ago, keep this thing in mind, or more than 100 years ago, sorry, a man more than 1 century ago, to kneel down before a woman, it was like murdering oneself. But to get the consent of the beloved, it was a new life. So he has incorporated this imagery of murder and create. There will be time to murder and create. To murder in the means that I lower down myself, my self-esteem and self-image that much that I will kneel before a woman, and this will be equal to murdering myself and create. And when my proposal will be accepted, so what will happen? That then I'll be created anew. I'll be created anew. And there is another thing, and that thing is there, that if a marriage takes place, so in a marriage, in most of the cases, some people have to murder their desires, to murder their wishes, to murder their dreams. Either of the party, it's really rarely that both the parties do not have to murder their wishes. In most of the cases, people have to murder their wishes. One of the two has to murder her wishes, and then as a result of that murdering of the wishes, their birth is given to a child, and that is to murder and create. And time for all the works and days of hands that lift and drop a question on your plate. Time for you and time for me. Now he is addressing the woman, and time for all the works and the days of hands, that whatever or going there, that lift and drop a question on your plate. You are sitting in the hotel, in the restaurant, and questions are coming onto your plate. Time for you and time for me. There will be time for you and time for me, and time yet for 100 indecisions and for 100 visions and revisions. Means that we will be having visions, and we will be revising those visions, so we'll have time for that. This is just we are thinking before taking of a toast and tea. And before that, we go to a restaurant and we somehow engage in having a tea party with one another. So many things will happen before that. In the room, the women come and go talking of Michelangelo or Michelangelo. So again, that thing is repeated, and indeed there will be time to wonder. Do I dare and do I dare? Oh, there will be time to wonder, do I dare and do I dare? Time to turn back and descend the stair. Do I dare, do I dare? Do I have the courage to propose this lady? Time to turn back. No, I cannot. It's time to turn back and descend the stair. Do not enter the hall. You are not worthy of staying in the hall. Why? Because with a bald spot in the middle of my hair, because my head is bald. Hair is missing on the center of my head. They will see. People will say in the hall, how his hair is growing thin. Why his head has become bald? My morning coat, my collar mounting firmly to the chin. Although my morning coat and collar is very much stiff, up to the chin, it's good looking. My necktie, rich and modest, but asserted by a simple pin. And my necktie is rich, is also modest, means of a good price, but asserted by a simple pin, but it has been knotted there or stiffed there with a simple pin. They'll say, but how his arms and legs are thin. But why is it so? Is that he is thin. Although he is well suited, but he is thin. What's there? Do I dare? Do I dare disturb the universe? Now there in the hall there is a universe, and even in the woman who is going to propose there is a universe, and is he able to disturb the peace of that universe by his unwelcoming appearance? In a minute there is time for decisions and revisions, which a minute will reverse. And then he is referring to that Blake thing. I mean, William Blake's concept of time, where he says to an eternity in an hour, that or when Ghani Khan was talking of so he says, in a minute there is time for decisions and revision, which is a minute, which a minute will reverse. In a single minute there is time for decisions and revision. So means that a single minute is not little time, it's also long time. For I have known them all, already known them all. Mean the people in the hall and the experiences of the people. I have known the evenings, mornings, afternoons. I have measured out my life with coffee spoons. I mean, I have been very much adopted to these usual things. I haven't been indulged in any extraordinary thing. I know the voice is dying with a dying fall. Here I remember that person had asked about this, one of the students had asked about prestige. That is a prestige thing as well as this is illusion. Illusion is that in 12th night, Duke Orsino says, if music be the food of love, play on. That strain, that it has a dying fall. So he is alluding to it. I know the voice is dying with a dying fall. Allusion to 12 nights, Duke Orsino's piece. Beneath the music from a farther room. So how should I presume that these things are coming from a farther room, from far away room? But so how should I presume like what is going on? I'm stopping at this point, and we'll be starting in the next from next onward. Thank you very much.